Hello, listeners, and welcome to this Cult News segment. I'm your speaker, Casey, host of the Cult Vault podcast, and this is an update episode of current cases that are unfolding either in the media or in court. For overviews of each case, you can go back through this channel or follow the links in the episode description to previously released videos where I go over the entire story up to this point. With the Lori Vallow trial beginning at the start of April, Nate Eaton of East Idaho News and Justin Lum of Fox 10 News were bringing us live updates this week across Twitter and their websites, with daily summaries in the evening and court audio available hours after the end of each trial day. It is very impressive the level of updates and communication that they are offering. As no cameras or reporters are allowed in the courtroom itself, the reporters have been given another room in the courthouse where they have access to a live feed. For the full overview of this case leading up to the trial, you can click this button if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening on the podcast, you can follow the links in the episode description. After days of jury selection and tons of individuals being questioned on their suitability to stand as jurors, including details on personal hardships like childcare commitments or prior knowledge of the Vallow case, 5 long days concluded with a jury of 10 men and 8 women who will serve on the Vallow murder trial, 12 jurors and 6 alternates. The opening statements are scheduled to begin at 8:30 a.m. on Monday the 10th of April, with witnesses and evidence to follow. Lori Vallow Daybell is on trial for the murder of her 2 children, Tylee Ryan and Joshua J.J. Vallow, who were reported missing and found months later in a shallow grave on the property of Vallow's new husband, Chad Daybell, whose wife had mysteriously died weeks before the pair were seen on the beaches of Hawaii tying the knot themselves. Conspiracy to commit murder in regards to the death of Tammy Daybell is also part of this case, and ultimately, justice for Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow is the goal. It is believed that the children became victims of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell's extremist and twisted beliefs around light and dark people. Light people would be saved by Vallow and Daybell during the doomsday, which at this point has come and gone, and dark people were supposedly possessed, taken over and zombie-like, based on skewed and twisted Mormon teachings, notably from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or LDS Church, with some influences being taken from Chad Daybell's fictional doomsday books. It is thought that Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow were thought to have turned dark. Although there is a lot of financial motivation in play, including Tammy Daybell's life insurance being raised before her death and cashed in by Chad Daybell, and supposed childcare payments still being cashed out after the children's disappearances. Also, Lori Vallow's former husband, Charles Vallow, was shot dead by Lori Vallow's brother, Alex Cox, during an altercation just months before Lori married Chad Daybell. Lori Vallow, already having an affair with Chad Daybell at the point her husband is killed, attempted to cash in Charles Vallow's life insurance before his killer, Alex Cox, Lori's own brother, also mysteriously died not long after. A very twisted and convoluted story with lots of mysterious deaths. It was also ruled this week that only victims will be allowed to be present during the trial. It was feared that only Colby Ryan, son of Lori Vallow and brother of Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow, would be given access to the courtroom and listed as a victim. Not the grandparents of J.J. Vallow, who initiated the welfare checks by authorities that led to the missing persons case enveloping the country to begin with. They have fought tooth and nail for justice for Tylee and J.J. ever since. It has been recently confirmed by Judge Boyce that Kay Woodcock, JJ's grandmother, will be given access and listed as a victim during the trial, and her husband, Larry Woodcock, JJ's grandfather, will be able to remain in the courtroom after he has testified. It is thought that prosecution may call upon Larry Woodcock early during the trial proceedings so that this can happen. But, of course, that is speculation. As the trial unfolds, I will keep you updated on the reports, but for live reporting, head over to Twitter and check out Nate Eaton and Justin Lum's Twitter profiles. I'll link them in the description. A very British cult dropped last week on the BBC, complemented with an 8-part podcast series of the same name. It has been widely received as one of the best recent exposés of its kind. Catherine Nye's sensitive and in-depth coverage, along with the bravery of survivors speaking out in this 1-hour-long documentary about the slow indoctrination they were exposed to by the Lighthouse International Group, has been quite something to see. The team who put this documentary together have made waves within the LIG community, a supposed coaching company, with leader Paul Waugh fleeing the country days before the coverage dropped. Interestingly, Waugh, along with others also present in the damning documentary, took to Twitter with a tirade of tweets defending their position, how they have their own documentary response to a very British cult, with answers and explanations to their cult-like and illegal activity coming soon. This all happened before setting their profile private. According to Waugh, his legal representation has suggested that they set their Twitter profiles to private, as LIG are putting their own legal case together to go after their opposers. On the Edge with Andrew Gold featured a lengthy interview with Rani Singh, mother of 2 members of LIG, one of which featured heavily in the documentary as one of LIG's mentors. Rani Singh spoke of financial coercion, the loss of the relationship with her sons, and the nefarious tactics used by LIG to attempt to stop Rani Singh from speaking out, such as banging on her door and filming her reaction when they asked her to comment on the supposed abuse she subjected her children to, which is a familiar part of LIG's MO at this point. Paul Waugh is supposedly in South Africa after posting a photo of himself on Twitter, claiming he was visiting the country he grew up in on LIG global expansion business. Will he ever come back to the UK? Time will tell. Any further updates on this will come in future episodes, but hopefully there will be no further need to report on the Lighthouse International Group, who were ordered by a high judge to wind up their company in the public interest, with the government issuing a statement about this after the release of the documentary. After the shocking statement from Nicki Clyne about her renunciation of support for cult leader Keith Raniere came last week, many people have spoken out in support for this decision, claiming that Clyne may have a long road ahead of her, but that she will be supported on this journey. The initial statement that Clyne made, issued on the Frank Report, ended in a way that left many wondering if there would be a follow-up. And sure enough, within a few days there was. In this second article, written by Nicki Clyne and released recently on the Frank Report, Clyne details some of the reasons why she finally stopped supporting Keith Raniere. Some of these things include the fantastic claims and lies by omission and outright embellishments found in Keith's biography, the circumstances surrounding his loss of over $66 million of other people's money, his lawsuit against AT&T and Microsoft, in which he claimed to have invented teleconferencing technology, and the subsequent sanctioning by a judge for lying under oath, the false promises Keith made to women regarding motherhood, monogamy, and spirituality, and his harsh and deceptive tactics to prevent them from leaving when they were unhappy or discovered his lies. His claims of mystical powers and control over nature were dubious at best. They were more likely told to manipulate and confuse others and create a myth-like persona. The list in total details 30 individual points, and Clyne ends by saying individually some of these points may not be compelling. However, when considered together and weighed against the word of a man who promotes himself as the epitome of ethics, wisdom, and nobility, they create a conflict. If you dig deeper and consider the above controversies carefully, as I did, I think you find that the only resolution to the conflict is that Keith Raniere is not the man he claims to be. That is the end of this Cult News episode. If you find this channel helpful or interesting, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button and join me tomorrow for more Cult News. I'm your speaker Casey, host of the Cult Vault podcast.